You have decided to come to talk about this idea of togetherness. I mean, togetherness in two ways. The first way is that you become like the five people that you spend the most time with. Are they people who are calling you to something higher and greater? Are they people that you admire most things about them and think, I want to be more like so-and-so in that way? I want to be more like this person that way. Or are you kind of the big cheese inside your group, right? Think about that, because it matters, because who we commiserate with and whether we commiserate and who we aspire to be like, it affects the trajectory of our business and our profession. And so when I'm saying togetherness, I'm laying the groundwork for saying, be thoughtful about those five. We've already said that one of the things that togetherness means is who is in our top five and how they influence us. The other thing that togetherness means is I'm thinking all the time right now about what it means to be a human being. And I know that sounds lofty and philosophical, but it's because every single day, without fail, I'm not kidding, I've been tracking it. Every day, someone is saying, have you tried this cool tool? It's an AI generated, chat GPT generated, blah, blah, blah. And there's some offer about how I can use something else to enhance my life. Now, I love technology, and you will never find me be the person who watches anything in the past and says, oh, I wish I lived then. Okay, I don't. No, thank you. I like penicillin. I like air condition. I like AI. I like the semiconductor. I like all the things that make our life better. And even though that's true, isn't it the case that this conversation is coming up more and more and more of technology and people, or technology or people? And the whole movie is about, what does it mean to be a human? One of the lessons of the movie, which you should still see it, okay, but one of the lessons of the movie is that even though there are things about technology that are superior, people need people. Now, I told you I would tell you the two things that I've seen and learned with groups I've been in and groups I've led that I hope you will enjoy, that will help you make your groups even better. And I'm using the term sticky to mean that people will pay to join and they renew easily, and that they're not slipping out the back door. Groups that focus on the why in people's lives, those groups are stickier. I'm talking about whether you are in a community of people where people, the members, are discussing why they think they're here on planet Earth, what they want to accomplish professionally in their business, why they chose the work they're doing, what else they love in their life. Do people really know each other? And does the leader understand this about their members? This is admittedly a high bar, but I don't think this topic is brought up enough. This is what makes people trust each other, is when they understand where their why aligns with each other. So again, I'm telling you what I have found works, but I'm not saying that simply because it's simple, it's easy. It's a simple concept that's actually very challenging to implement, which is why I want to tackle the challenge of having the conversation and helping people do this better. Your members, whether it is a peer advisory group or it is a networking group, they need to have a lot in common. The reason that people don't end up being in groups with having a lot in common is because they're not taught early enough when they begin recruiting about how much this matters. When they're given a system to follow, what usually happens with paid membership groups of any kind is people get guidelines and advice about roles and responsibilities and titles. And what I'm saying is, it's just not enough. And where the commonality comes in is you have what's called your founding group. It might be 4 people, it might be 6 people, it might be 8 people, depending on how big your group is ultimately going to become. But this founding group needs to be of one mind. It could be that maybe you build a group where people are all the same gender and in the same industry. It could be that they're all a certain kind of industry that serve a particular kind of client. And the reason it's important that you have this commonality is because you want them to immediately connect with one another so that they get a strong return on their investment, so they build trust, so they stay, so they also eventually talk about their why. Because they have so much in common, they become friends. This is simple to discuss and very challenging to implement. And yet, isn't it what everybody wants? This is what I want. I don't need more things to do. I want people that get me, that like me, and who are ahead of me in their vision of what they think is possible for me. Because we have such open communication that we're talking about where we are currently and what we aspire to do. And then we help one another in community to do that. When you help people fulfill their mission, then your members know you care about them. And again, they don't want to leave. In this story, Joshua is the leader of the Jewish people who are walking toward the land where they're going to rebuild their homes. And Joshua follows Moses. So many people have heard of Moses, but not everyone's heard of Joshua. It's very challenging. It takes a long time, and he has to keep holding out hope for people that they are eventually going to reach their inheritance. Okay, so there's a verse that it actually says, "Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them." Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land. Inherit is where people are trying to get in their life. It's their why. Just like the Jews going through the desert were on a journey. We're all on a journey towards something we're trying to get. And we cannot get there without other people. And what I want to encourage you to do is think, if you are the kind of person that delights in helping other people get to their inheritance, do you feel like that is part of your calling? I've realized it's part of my calling. The reason it makes me so happy for you to connect with people, to be having LinkedIn open at the same time, to be checking each other out while you're half listening here. The reason it makes me so happy is because one of the things I'm here to do is to connect people who, by their connection, are going to get further on their journey to get to their inheritance. Or you might think, I don't think I want to be that person right now, but I sure would like to be with other people who are more overt about their goals and their journey. I'd like to be a member of a group like that, which is also super. So what I'm doing in this group that I'm calling the Good Humans Growth Network, all of the groups, whether they're in person, whether they're virtual, whether they meet once a month, whether they meet twice a month, they're all different from each other. But what they have in common is they understand that they've got to be talking about their why. They've got to understand that it's going to be through their work and getting better at business development and getting better at opening doors for one another and helping each other. It's how they're going to get to their inheritance. And so there's going to be a trickle-down effect where there's a common culture, even despite diversity among the different kinds of groups. In addition to that diversity, there will also be these attributes. Now, when I wrote How Good Humans Sell, I coined the phrase good humans. And of course, it's a phrase that's been out there before, but I grabbed it and I said, this has to do with business development. Because when people are reluctant to sell and they're worried about being perceived as too pushy, they want to be liked and they don't want to be seen as a not good human. So basically, when I wrote How Good Humans Sell, I defined good humans by what you're not. You're not pushy. You're not manipulative. We don't talk people into things they don't need. That's rude. Don't do that. Right? That's how I define good humans. But I realized if I'm going to build an international network, it can't be just by what you're not. Okay, we need to have kind of a higher thing that we're going for that is also vetting criteria for whether the group will be sticky because it's full of people like this. These are attributes that I'm always looking for when I'm building things. Are they these kind of people? If we're vigilant about that as we build these groups, it's not that they'll be full of perfect people. There is no such thing, but we can have a high bar that we're shooting for. And maybe having groups, maybe saying that every group should talk about their why and they have to have a lot in common, maybe that bar is really high. But if we don't shoot for that, we're at risk of getting the opposite, which is relationships that feel more transactional, where it's easy to break up with those people. It's easy to leave. And I don't want to build groups where it's easy to leave. It's bad for me and it's bad for them. And that's not what I'm here to do. Okay. Well, then with that, we'll adjourn. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming, and I'll see you again.